for being on my channel again. Today I'm going to teach you how to create this card panel with this double stitched window here that you can use for any kind of cards. Just use your creativity. This is one of them, as you can see, and I use with this beautiful dog that's kind of peeking through the window, but you can use it in any kind of cards you want. See, that's another one. Here's a third one that I use with a little bit of confettis, but all of them use the same double stitched window. So I'm going to teach you how to do this on Canvas Workspace and how to cut it on ScanNCut. Okay, so here we are, and I already opened my Canvas Workspace, and if you don't have that on your computer, I really urge you to download it, because it's much faster than doing anything directly on the machine. This is where I create everything, and then I just send it to the machine. You can use a flash drive or send it through the internet, so via your Wi-Fi. So let's do this. The first thing you want to do is to create the mat, because this is what you're going to base your the size of your window on. So I know that I want a regular card, which is 5.5 by 4.25 inches, and the mat is a little bit smaller than that. So what I want is a mat that is 4 inches by 5.25. That's perfect mat for an A2 card. So that's the size of the mat. I'll just place this here, and we are going to zoom in so you can see what I'm going to do from now on. We're going to create the window. So you can actually use rectangle or square, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to tell to just drag it and see the size that I want. I eyeball it. I don't actually know which size, the perfect size of my window, but I just eyeball it. I kind of know which size I want just by looking, really, but it depends on what you're going to put inside this window. I had that dog that I wanted to use, and I know the size of the dog, so I know that it can't be a very big window, because if it is, then he's going to be too small here on the bottom, because that's where it goes. So I think this is good size. So from now on, I'm just going to move this aside, because I don't want to mess around with this. We're just going to work around the little window. And there it is. I'm just going to make it a little bigger so you can see what I'm doing here, okay? First thing you're going to do is to draw a line, because remember, it's 2 lines on each side, and they're all stitched. What you're going to do is you position where you want to start the line, and we can move this afterwards. That's not a problem, but I try to be as precise as I can so I don't have to mess around later on. You hold the Shift key and you drag the line down to wherever you want it to be. Let's see. It's here. I think it's good enough. So when you decide it's ready, you click twice and your line is done. What I'm going to do now is, since I already did one line and I don't like drawing these lines, I just cut and paste another one. But remember that the outside stitching line is a little bit smaller. It just makes it look, I don't know, I just like the look of it. So I just drag it up a little bit to make it smaller. And then I use the Shift key, the arrow keys, up and down, wherever you want to place them. I think this is good, but let's see. Also, how do you know that this is see how the distance here, it's not aligned in the center? So what I'm going to do is, I can just leave it here, I guess. You select all the objects here, and you go to Align here on the side, and you click on Middle. Now it aligned everything. See, it's perfectly aligned. What I'm going to do now, since I already have these two ready to go, I'm just going to click on them, and I'm going to group so I don't make any mistakes of separating this line. When you group, they become one object. So you can either go here, Layer, and Group, or you can use the shortcut here, whatever you want. I'm just going to click on group. So it's one object now. See, if I want to just move it around, I'm not going to mess up with the lines because I know it's perfect. So what I want to do now is I don't want to go through the whole thing 3 more times, right? I'm just going to copy and paste. And you can do that again by going here to edit, and you have that option, copy, and then you can paste. In case you're not very familiar, I just use the shortcuts, but you can always do that. So here it is, but as you remember, looking at the card, this is going, I want this shorter line here on the outside, and that's not what happened here, right? So very easy to fix. You just click on the object and you're going to flip horizontally. There you go, problem solved. See, you already have the 2 sides. I'm going to do this again, copy and paste, and we're going to now turn it so you can use it on the top and bottom here. Again, hold the shift key because it goes straight like this in 90 degree angles, actually 45, right? Yeah, 45. But it's you don't don't have the mistake. You're not going to run into a problem and do this, for example. Oh no, it's not straight. So if you hold the shift key, it goes straight. You let go of the shift. Sorry, you let go, and there it is. But this one, so I'm just going to move this one around and just put it on the top where we want it. Let's make sure that the distances are right here. I think pretty much here will be fine. And we're going to center that. So don't worry about not being perfect because there is a way to do it to make sure it is. So I'm just going to hold it there. And let's see if this is where this is going to go. Okay, let's make sure that this is centered so we know where it needs to go. Again, you select everything, and you're going to click here. So everything is aligned. See how perfect it is? Now we drag this one down just to see the positioning, where you want it to go. You make sure that, again, it's centered, because see, it doesn't look right because it's going to the right, far to the right. So again, what we're going to do is to click here and the big one too, and we're going to center to make sure that everything is centered. Oops, hold on. You know what? The easiest way to do this is to just move it using your arrow keys. See the distance one more. I think this is perfect. Yep, cool. I'm going to do this again. Control C, Control V, or you can go on edit, copy and paste, and we're going to bring this one down. But again, the positioning is not right. We have to flip this one too, right? So we're going to flip this. Now it's perfect. So select. I'm going to make sure that these two are, let me just move. I like to just use the arrow keys because I think it's much faster than, there you go. We go up until you know that, there you go, up a little bit to the right. That's good. I think it looks good. There you go. I think it looks kind of perfect. The last thing we want to do, you want make sure that if ScanNCut is going to cut this because it's a cutting line and it's straight, it's not stitched. You want to make sure to click all of these here, all of these lines, come here and you choose. I like this one and this one. The one I used for these cards was this one, so I'm just going to keep it. That's stitched now. Again here, I'm going to do the same. click on this one, do the same. Click on this one, do the same, and that's the last thing you need to do. What you're gonna do now, and that's the last thing, is you want to group everything. There you go. Everything's together because we're going to move this and place it on the map. So go to Layer, Group. So this is one image only. So I'm now going to just zoom out a little bit just so you know we're back on our mat here. Oops. Yeah, I'm doing with my fingers. It doesn't always work. So there you are. Now we're going to bring the mat back and we're going to center everything just to make sure that it's correct. There you go. It's centered. I think the position here is, yeah, it's good. I'm just gonna move a little bit no, forget it. Oh, sorry guys. Let me do this again. Select everything, make sure it's centered. Oh, let me teach you one secret. This is a tip that is, I'm trying to just select the internal one, and it's always selecting the big one. Here is a way to make sure that this is not going to be selected, and it works with any shape. You click on the shape that you want to lock and make sure that nothing will change it and you won't mess around with it. You can select internally all the shapes inside or outside, and this is going to remain the same. What you do is you go here on Layers, and it's already telling you where. See the blue outline here? This it's kind of highlighted in blue. If you want to lock this, all you need to do is to click here. The moment you do that, if I try to select it, it won't because it's locked. And that's great when you want to just move this, for example, and you want to make sure that this doesn't come with it. And sometimes it's really tricky, and it will come. So that's what you need to do. So I'm just gonna move this here. Oh, what happened? Okay, I'm going to select the window and just gonna make sure that it's a little bit higher than it was before. Now I'm going to center everything again, and I do want to select the big one. So what I do is I go here, go back here, and you unclick it. It's not locked anymore. So I can select everything. I can go back here to edit and make sure that it's centered. So here it is. Now you have, I'm sure there are other ways of doing all of this, but that's the way I do it. Now you have the perfect stitch on the outside in the window, because the ScanNCut is going to cut. It's a straight line. It's going to cut this, and it's going to cut the inside. But this area here is going to be stitched. So that's what you need to do, and it's ready to go to the machine. I just wanted to show here what I did, because since I know that my paper allows for 2 mats. It's a small paper, so if it were a 12 by 12, I could have 4, but it's not so. It's an 11 by 8.5. So what I'm going to do is to cut and paste and turn one of these like that, and make sure that I have 2. I can do that on the machine too, but as I told you, I like to do everything here. Can't be bothered to do anything on the machine unless I really need to. So that's that. I have already 2 because I always make sure that I do more than 1 card at a time. We're going to send to the machine, and then I'll see you there. So here we are. I'm going to load my mat. I totally forgot to do that, but okay. It's loading. We're going to retrieve the file. I sent it through Wi-Fi, so that's where it is. See, but since I have a mat here, I have my paper, I'm going to scan it. I'm going to start scanning so I know where to place these 2 mats. I want to make sure that it cuts because I have centered the paper. So I'm just going to wait until this is done. And we're just going to move the 2 mats around and to place it perfectly on. See, If I had cut without doing that, I would not have done anything cut here. I can actually move to the side so we can have some leftover paper here. Looks good to me. We're going to say OK, select, cut, and start. It's going to take a while. Yeah, 4 minutes, not that bad because of the stitching. It does take a while to stitch, but I'll be back when it's done and I'll show you what's done to the paper, okay? So here it is. I'm just going to remove my mats and see what it did. It looks good. There you go. Let's see how well it did. See how beautiful it looks. It has the perfect stitch, perfect size, and if you look closely, the stitching is absolutely perfect. So we have two mats here of the same, and here you are, the way we wanted it, and I'm going to show you the end result. So here they are. These are the cards that I made using that mat that I just taught you how to make. I want to show you one by one because they're all different. The first one is this. I mean, look at this dog. I just had to use this dog because look, when you open the card, you can see the back of the dog. I just love the dog on the window. I use this dog so many times. I don't know, sorry, I don't know which stamp set it is, but I'm sure you can find it anywhere because there are so many options of stamps with dogs like this. They're just peeking through the window. But anyway, I want to show you something, and this is something that makes me really happy to have ScanNCut. I mean, look at this paper. I had so many of these flowers. They were stamped, and I had colored all of them one by one, and I had this for months put aside because I could not bring myself to cut any of these flowers. They were just too small, but just look at how perfectly they came out, and I'm so happy. I look at them today and say, oh my goodness, I've had this for months. I'm gonna have it cut with the ScanNCut, and look at this, and here is the result. Here is the card, and they're perfectly cut, and I'm going to use it in many cards. So that's the first. The second one, I did something different. I put 2 layers of acetate here and some confettis because it just looks so cute, and they actually move. It's harder to see. Maybe if I do, yeah, see? They move. It just, I think it's just added some interest to the card. And when you open the inside, you can see the confettis too. So I like this one. I absolutely love this sentiment. Tend a garden and beautiful flowers will appear. So that's the second one. The third one, I again did something different. I added this flower to the inside, and you can always write here. So that's the third one. And that's the last one. The last one, I used the same sentiment here with these images I had stamped before. And they're all different, but I just wanted you to see what they look like and you can use your imagination and do whatever you want with these windows here. And I'm actually going to show you because you might be asking yourself, how did she get that window cut? It's very easy. So here I have my base, my card base, and what I do is I get the mat, I place it specifically where I want. You have to make sure this is well placed here. So that's where I want it. So what you do is you get your pencil, you trace it, and then you take it out. You're going to have the image traced here, and you just use you can use a scissors too if you don't have an X-Acto knife, but you just use the X-Acto knife and you cut, and then it will be perfectly placed, okay? So here they are again. You can see all 4 cards that I created with this double stitched window that we learned to make today, and just use everything that you learned on Canvas Workspace. You learned how to group, you learned how to cut and paste, how to group, and even how to lock objects. So use what you learned today and just create. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time.